up, guys? Welcome to our Real Trade Talk podcast, where me and Travis, not Scott, are doing a weekly podcast to try to help inspire, help you grow in your trading. So we got a lot of different topics that we want to cover today. We're going to make this into a series, three-part series. So in this series, we're going to talk about trading lifestyle, and then we're going to cover what does it take to trade for a living? What does that look like? And then we'll end on consistency. Why do you need consistency? Why is it so important? All right. So let's talk about trading lifestyle. And I'll let Travis start today.
Yeah, so what's going on, guys? So one of the things that I think we wanted to bring up definitely as a first topic to start this podcast off is to definitely talk about the lifestyle of trading. So, what exactly is that? Well, I think how we could give a great example of real trade lifestyle is to talk about our personal lifestyle and our personal trading journey. So, when I first started, right, with trading, which is right now going on 6 years, seems like a long time. I think there are many points in your life where I think for me personally, because I've gone through not having money to having some sort of, well, having money now, but so I guess when you're starting out in the beginning of trading, right, in terms of getting into the lifestyle, a lot of people want to rush into the final stages of the lifestyle of I'm making money, I have profit, and I'm consistent. That's their mindset in the beginning. But in the beginning, in terms of trading, you want your most of your time, it needs to be spent learning the actual skill. So with me in the beginning, I was just like everyone else. I wanted to rush in. I wanted to make money really, really fast because, I mean, like even with my profession, you don't see the amount of profits that you do with trading. But eventually, I understood that I needed to learn the basics, learn simple things like, the things that simple things that traders skip, support and resistance, candlesticks readings, not too much indicators, and get that foundation going. That was my basic beginning stages of learning my trading lifestyle. But then most people, and this may be you come to a point where maybe you don't have that much money. Maybe you have $100 or so or something like that, and but you still want to trade, right? So with me, like I started trading when I was an undergrad and didn't have much. But even though I didn't have much, I still wanted to still wake up, still put in money, and still try my best to make what I can because I was in love with trading that much. So the thing is like after a while of trading that, I felt that like, man, like I'm trading this $100 and I'm making like $5. I'm making $6. I'm making $12. Can I like I really want to grow this into something that's suitable for me. So and also it's just like, I had back in the day, I had to realize that, man, this takes a lot of discipline. Like I gotta get up London session, I gotta get up New York session. I don't have a schedule. So in the beginning, it was just like, man, I'm not, I'm read, what do I have to do to take this serious? And one of the things that I thought of, I was just like, man, well, I do have a business mindset. This whole trading thing is about everybody's talking about being an entrepreneur. But the thing is, do you approach this as a business? You know, do you get, do you clock this in at like 3 o'clock and then you finish 6 o'clock on the dot? Because sure hell, like I know you can't work from 3 a.m. to like all day to like the next 3 o'clock, like 12 hours. You have to set a certain time where you're going to sit at your table, look at trades, are you going to specifically focus on London, Asia, New York? And that's what I did. And doing that, I was able to create a system where I'm just like, okay, even though I'm up right now, sometimes I got up and hey, maybe I made a little profit. I don't feel like, I'm just like, okay, what else can I do to make this business grow? So that's when you start looking up more things to add to your skill set, like trading psychology. That's a big one, right? That everybody doesn't really focus on, but that's another big one. Where can I find funding for this? Like, can I look for a proprietary firm? Like, definitely traders are blessed now with companies like
Blessed.
FTMO. Yeah, very blessed.
Blessed.
Yeah, like back in the day, the only thing that they probably offered was like Maverick FX or something like that. So a lot of people got lucky with that. And I mean, to the point right now where trading lifestyle wise, I like now being a full doctor, having money, all that. A lot of people look at it as, and this is going to vary for different people, but like as my job is very busy, but no, what I do is I still trade full time. It's just that my business schedule fits my schedule. So like I'll trade basically straight London session, 3 a.m. to 6, 3 hours Monday through Friday, just like a business. That's when my business of trading opens. If moves happen during the New York session, that's okay because my like I know with my business that I'm risking a certain percentage, which most traders do 1%, and I'm just trying to make 2%, 3%, and it's all about like how much I make, and that's all it is. So, in terms of trading lifestyle, definitely having a schedule and setting it and then making time to go to my day job after, which brings in my money for my trading, is how I do my trading lifestyle. And that's going to differ for everybody.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, like not everybody, some people actually like their jobs, right? Not everybody hates their jobs. So this whole notion that you hear online on Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 that, everybody hates their job, and not everybody hates their job. They may just not be getting paid enough money or what they seem that they're worth, but that doesn't mean that they don't like the job. So if somebody was getting paid a certain amount of money more, let's say, I don't know, let's say if you're working at McDonald's, right, and it wasn't really that bad, you just sucked at getting paid a 7.25 minimum wage. Well, $15 an hour, that's like double almost what you were getting paid before. So how much of a difference would that actually make in your lifestyle, for you to be happy? So, I mean, who cares whether it's McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, Target? I mean, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, like, am I happy? That's really what it comes down to: is, are you happy? Forget about what everybody else thinks. Other people's opinions aren't paying your bills. They're not paying anything at all. So they're either going to, you know, shape your mindset of something is bad or something is good. So I mean, when you talk about the trading lifestyle that, let's say, Travis would have right now, he still works, he still trades, he just finds a balance between the two. So the question is, like, how long do you think it took you to find that balance between the work and, let's say, the trading life? And then also, if, let's say if you have a girlfriend, wife, or whatever, how did that, how do all those things kind of mesh together to have a well-oiled, I guess, machine?
Well, I will say that it did not happen overnight. And that's the thing. It's not going to happen overnight.
It never happens overnight.
So, and this is the thing where trading psychology plays into a role. You may have a losing trading week, and at the same time, you probably don't have your schedule down pack. And then you're just like, trading's not for me. Well, this is where I literally had that one Saturday, which I do take my Saturdays as a mental day for myself to recover and really think of what I need to do next. And I really looked at it as, well, this is a business, right? So first things I got to think about is, well, I need to make time with my wife. I need to make time with friends. I need to make time with family. I need to make time with whoever, right? So that's where I came up with the idea of I just need to trade the London session, because being in New York Eastern time, nobody's up at 3 a.m. Nobody's up at 3 to 6 a.m. So it's a time where I'm not distracted and I could fully focus. And, us trading the Forex market, also trading cryptocurrency market, it gives us that flexibility to make our own hours like that. So why not use it?
Exactly.
Why not? So it's just like, even though and also it's just like, again, like you're going to have days where you take off. You're going to have days where you need to go somewhere, and that's totally fine. Like, actually, those are the times where I trade the best. Like when I go on vacation or I'm away from the charts for a little bit, like you have to make time for you to disengage. The more you disengage and the less time you spend on the charts, you're actually going to do better. And that's what I found when I've lessened my hours with trading.
Yeah, there is it almost reminds me of the movie The Matrix. Whenever they first came to Neo's door and they knocked on it and he was sleeping on, in front of the computer, he opened the door and the guy was like, "Bro, you need to unplug, man." So it's kind of like that. You need to unplug, right? You're not, just because the market is open doesn't mean that you need to be in a trade.
Right.
And so I think that if you use the tools that are available to you, and I mean, literally, you have an entire online marketplace of tools, but I think one of the best tools that I found to give me very specific information is that Forex volatility calculator on investing.com. And if you actually look at it and you select the different currency or pair, it literally breaks down below that pair, like the actual hours on average of what the volatility movements are for that pair, what day, the average day that it moves the most. So if you look at a pair like, let's say, pound USD or whatnots, you'll start to notice that the most volatility happens between essentially the first 2 hours of London, followed by the first 2 hours of the US session. And then the days themselves that are most volatile typically are Tuesday and Thursday. So if pound USD is like your pair that you trade, like, wouldn't you want to know that information? And that's where the opportune time to find setups, especially if you trade how we trade. So that in itself is invaluable information that you just know that you don't have to be in front of the charts looking at pairs of trade at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That just doesn't make any sense. There's no movement that happens around that time. So why would you spend your time? I know that when you first start, it seems like almost like a drug that you just can't get enough of. Believe me, after you take enough losses, that drug wears off. And this is where, you have that ridiculously high failure rate of, 90% or above. And typically they end up quitting within 90 days of starting the trade. Because they go at the very first beginning, when they first start out, it's very exciting. So it's like a drug. They keep going over and over every day, eventually until they end up quitting because they've blown up the accounts or all their money. And they just don't feel that the time that they've invested has produced any valuable output into their life. So that makes it, pretty remarkable what the really high percentage amount of people that actually lose or just end up quitting over a long period of time.
And I think that's a good point that you bring up, because it's like in the beginning, you want to be involved in everything, right? Everything
Yeah.
and anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like one of the things that I think a lot of people do in the beginning is like you're in this big world of all these different pairs, and you want to look at every single pair and try to catch every single movement, when in all actuality, you may want to just look at one or two and just really focus on those one or two and really understand, especially the way we trade, the cycles, what's happening at a certain period of time during the London session, the Asian session, the New York session. Understand just the general market structure and what's going on. And then once you understand one or two pairs, you can then expand your knowledge and go into other pairs and really get an understanding of how they move, when they move, the time they move. And then you could start adding into other things, like maybe you want correlation stuff. So like maybe you're looking at gold, and but you like to trade USJPY, you know how those pairs move, or you trade UCAD and you understand the correlation with that in oil, or you maybe even like looking at the dollar index because you like to trade dollar pairs. So it's a snowball effect, like of in terms of the knowledge. But in order to really find somewhere to start, you want to really start out really small. And I think that's something that I've learned going through this lifestyle of trading to the point where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And so for me, like the trading lifestyle that I have now is completely different than what it was when I first started, right? So when I first started trading was back in 2011. And I really didn't take it seriously until a couple years afterwards. But in order for me to go full time, and in order for me to quit my job, which is, a lot of people's aspirations or whatnots, like I think one thing that I would say that made a huge difference for me was the person that I was with, my wife, who would not let me just quit my job without having a plan in place. And so I think a lot of people end up, quitting their jobs when they see something, bright and shiny on the other end, or, they're saying like the grass, that saying, the grass is not always greener on the other side, right? That plays very true in the sense that the grass is not always greener on the other side. And so if you want it to be greener on the other side, then you need to have a plan of action in order to be able to transition successfully, right? So if you're looking at this, trying to make this a full-time thing, you have to understand it's going to take years for you to make a really good transition from working a job full-time to trading full-time. And so it takes a long time. It took me years. I spent a lot of my time not actually during London or US session. I actually spent my time back testing and putting a plan together and back testing the plan. Because if I was going to quit my job, I needed to feel secure in myself that I knew that the plan that I was going to implement for the next 18 months was actually going to work, or at least back testing it was, giving me some kind of results that I knew that I had confidence in. And so a lot of the time that I spent myself when I first started to practice the strategy, test, fail, retest, adjust, was literally during after work hours. It wasn't even during London session or during US session, right? I would work, come home, spend a couple of hours with the family, and then for the next 4 hours after that, I would just go into my zone and do my back testing, do the planning and all that stuff. And I did that for a while, right? It wasn't until I needed to be up for London session or the New York session where I wanted to test it in a live environment to see how it would work. So it wasn't until that time came into place that I needed to adjust any of my, sleeping schedule or any of that stuff, right? So the majority of my time was just literally my normal 9 to 5, and then after that, 4 hours or so into the back testing. So once I was wanting to trade, and let's say during the London session, to live test this, the strategy or whatnot, then I would just go to sleep super early, wake up, right as the London session is about to start, and then I'd stay up the whole day, and then go to sleep super early again. I still got 6-7 hours of sleep, but it's a sacrifice, right? You're going to spend less time with the family, but at the same time, you're doing something that's going to potentially change your life or change the way you want to live your life, if you just stick to it and get the plan out of the way. So once I got the plan out of the way, for me, I was able to build an account over an extended period of time, because building an account isn't easy, especially when you are constantly wanting to withdraw money from it, right? Not let it sit there and have the compound effect take effect, right? The compound effect cannot happen if you keep taking money out of the account, right? So the biggest struggles were the temptation of wanting to take money out to go splurge and buy literally bullshit that doesn't really freaking matter, right? So having the discipline to leave it in there and let it compound, the decision that I made to do that has now allowed me to have a lifestyle that's now completely different than I could possibly ever dreamed of, in the sense that I can choose whether I want to trade this week or not, or I can choose whether I want to trade this month or not, or I can choose whether I want to take the next 4 months off, you know? And so that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a couple of months. It literally takes years for you to build an account and leave it, not touch it. But as soon as you build it, right, you have the ability to not have that. I want to call it. What do I want to call it? You know how when you're trading and you have that constant mindset of, I need to take a trade because I need to pay bills, or I need to pay car payment or the insurance or whatever, right? Being able to leave money in and let it compound over several years allows you the ability to be like, hey, if I don't want to trade, I don't have to. So now you're very picky about the times that you do trade. So when you go into the market now, if I don't see something that literally is like God's gift to a trading, setup, then I just don't trade it. I just don't trade it. And so sometimes that may mean that I won't trade for a week or a month. It just depends, right? But not having the pressure of saying, "Hey, I need to trade this month because I need to pay the bills, or I need to do this." It's a huge psychological barrier that a lot of people don't have. But if you just let the compound effect take effect on your account and let it grow over an extended period of time, at the end of it, you'll really see the huge benefits from it, you know?
Well said, man.
So trading lifestyle for me, honestly, it's different now, right? Now I'm in the middle of taking, mentoring classes and stuff like that. So it's a lot different. I can tell you the stats of me of trading um, from one end to another, as far as like when I was trading full time to now where I'm not trading like full time, are really eye opening actually, um, because the percentage of actual trades, open and stuff like that is really shocking. So let me pull up the MyFX book real quick, so I can give you some real context as to what the numbers are. All right. So on average, when I was full time trading, no classes, no YouTube, none of the stuff, just me living my life, doing my thing, doing my trading. Right. On average, I was gaining a month about 15% a month on my account. Right. That was in 2018. 2019, I started giving out classes, mentoring classes. And after the first month, January was 28%. After that month, after that, February, 6%, March, 2%, April, 1.5%. May was actually a negative month, negative 3%. June was 1%. July was 4.2%. August was 11, September 9, October 3, November 3, and December 3%. So I went from an average of about 15% month back to back to back. And some months were 20, other months were 10, but on average, I see about 15% or so, to like literally 5%. To 5%, right? In 2020, that was pretty much the same. The only month that was any different was March, which was the month that everything went to hell in a handbasket with coronavirus, and you were literally catching 200 pips per trade, right? And so that month was actually about 15%, 15.76%. The rest of the months were literally 5, 4, 2, 1, right? So being able to build an account is huge and gives you the flexibility to go from an average, at least for me, an average of like, 15, 20% to 5, 3, 2, 1, fluctuating back and forth. And now we're talking about we're 2 years straight, right, into that, because I'm not trading like I used to full time, because I'm doing more classes and I'm spending a lot more time on teaching than I do trading. And so to me, like I've been able to be really smart and not buy stupid shit, right? Like I don't care about having Lamborghinis. I don't care about Gucci clothes or shoes or any of that crap, right? I don't spend money on any of that stuff. I literally invest as much money as I can, right? Because once you have the money to invest, you can make money while you're sleeping. And if you can make money while you're sleeping, that right there is what's going to allow you to get the real freedom that you actually want, is when you make money when you sleep.
Ain't that sweet?
When you make money when you sleep. So if you're investing, in different companies. Take some of the money out, and instead of taking it out to spend on things, right, buy and then reinvest it into some stocks, into crypto, into whatever, and let that make money for you. I've it's crazy, but like ever since the bull run started on crypto back in 2020, I've made more money just investing in crypto and just holding it, invest and hold, right? Than I would if I were to actually trade. So why the hell would I trade if I'm making more money by just investing into something like crypto? You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me to put risk on something that I don't need to put risk on. That just doesn't make sense. I know there's some people that are probably greedy bastards and want to trade and all that stuff at the same time. But I mean, for me, it just makes way more sense to chill out, enjoy, invest in something, let it make money for you while you're sleeping. So I hope that you enjoyed part 1 of our podcast, of our Real Trader Talk podcast. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is going to be broken up into three different parts. So today we covered essentially trading lifestyle. Our next podcast, we're going to go ahead and cover and talk about what does it take to make a living trading, and then we'll finally finish it off with consistency. So hope you found a lot of value in the podcast, guys, and we will see you next week.